Can't talk. What's up, you guys? Welcome to the August Tidal Gardens live stream. Hope everybody's having a great weekend. We're starting. Oh, I should probably start the timer, huh? Should probably start the timer. We usually like to start a little bit early, make sure that there's no audio glitches or video glitches or anything like that. So hopefully this is going to be a smooth operation. We've got about a little over 250 corals, so that should take us to a little bit past 4 p.m. Eastern. I don't know what it's like where you guys are, but this is the hottest summer that I can remember. It's not terrible outside right now, but we went through some really toasty weather last month, and I think we only had about 3 days where it was in the 70s, and we're back up into the high temperatures again, which is not that fun. I don't know what it is. Like, when I first initially moved to Ohio, I never liked the winters. I thought that they were pretty unbearable. But I think I've completely flipped the script. So nowadays, I would take winter weather any day over summer weather. And I mean, I've got really good winter clothing, so the cold doesn't bother me at all. But this 90 to 100 degree weather, it's gotten pretty old. It's gotten pretty old. And as like a really random aside, uh, I don't like bugs. And sometime on Friday, I don't know what caused it, but there's like dozens of flies suddenly in this building. And there's obviously it's a big building, you can have like some bugs, but it was really noticeable. Like, what the heck? Why are there so many flies all of a sudden? Yeah, bizarre, bizarre. C. Patterson, Southern Arizona was 121 2 days ago. I mean, it's getting to the point where Arizona might not be habitable by humans. I mean, it's crazy. That's way too hot. Had guys ship me corals and doing really well. Good, good, because that's clearly a challenging temperature. Thanks for all the help. Ben answered all the questions I have. Thanks. Yeah, Ben does the shipping. We've been doing it so long, to a large degree, we have it down to a science. I mean, we're refining like little things towards the fringes, but much more confident these days. But when it's that hot, there's only so much you can do because it's just physics, right? That's a lot of heat. And even just getting it out of here, it's like when it's like 90 something, it's a race against time. Get you a bug zapper. I mean, I think eventually they're gonna end up in the aquariums or something like that. But I've just been going window to window and just like letting them out. Volume does not seem to be very good. Okay, let me see what I can do about that. Let me see if I can move this microphone closer to my face. Okay, just off camera. All right, is that any better? Hopefully that's a bit better. Other thing I can do is nothing. Because for some reason, once I go live with this, it doesn't let me tweak that any further. But how's this? Is this a little bit better in terms of audio? Yeah. Yep, cutting down the distance. Who knew, right? There's only a handful of people that are in chat right now, but I think about 6 years ago, we had a barbecue event, and people have been asking about when the next barbecue event is going to be. Forever, I've been saying we wouldn't do it again because it's a lot of work to like put that all together and stuff. And I was never really feeling it, but a number of random occurrences kind of happened. And so we're actually going to be doing an open house on September 12th. So that's Friday, September 12th. And it's not going to be for super long. It's only going to be from about noon to 4. And then we're going to be hosting some aquarium clubs and stuff like that that day. But it should be really interesting. I'm going to, excuse me. I'm going to be having some folks from out of town visit. And one of the guys is Joe Waiulo from the Long Island Aquarium. I've been wanting to get him to visit for a really long time. And he said, "Yeah, I can certainly come this summer. Is there any aquarium clubs or anything like that where I can do a speaking engagement?" And I thought that, well, that's kind of weird because I'm usually trying to duck speaking engagements whenever possible. So I was like, well, let me see because I'm not really a member of any clubs in the area. But I am friends with the Medina Club because they are former University of Akron lawyers. I shouldn't say that. They're former students, law students at the University of Akron, and it's a married couple, and they are now lawyers. And during the COVID years, they really, really, really wanted to do like a meeting at Tidal Gardens. And at the time, we weren't letting anybody over. So eventually, we did let them do an event at my place here, Tidal Gardens, and it worked out. So I was like, okay, well, Joe from Long Island Aquarium wants to have a speaking engagement. I really just wanted him to come over and see the place. So I kind of had to create an event out of thin air. And we worked it out with this Medina club, and they're talking to like another club in the area because the Medina club is like mostly freshwater, but there's a smaller saltwater club as well. Long story short, we created this out of whole cloth speaking engagement for Joe to come and visit. Then Joe asks, "Hey, is there anybody else that we could invite to make this like a bigger affair? You know, like the more the merrier." And about 3 years ago, Brandy and I were talking. Brandy Camp, she works at Pisces USA. So we were talking about having like an industry event here, and we made like a guest list that we would talk to because a lot of folks were asking about like, are you ever going to do a show or anything? I'm like, no, we're not. But I was like thinking, well, a private party might be doable, but we just never pulled the trigger and invited all these people. So I'm thinking, well, Joe's already going to be coming. That'll be cool no matter what. But let's just invite a whole bunch of people. And I'm just thinking, it's randomly in the middle of the summer. Uh, all these people are gonna have to fly in. It's asking a lot just to come hang out, right? But I was really surprised at how many people said yes. Granted, this industry is top tier flaky, so unless I'm seeing plane tickets and hotels booked, I'm not counting anybody in. But they're sending me like like confirmation plane tickets and stuff like that. So there's people from literally all over the world that are going to be coming, which is going to be really cool. Like there's Paul Hughes from AAC that's over in the UK, and he's bringing a YouTuber, Stefan, that's the Yorkshire Reefer. There's the entire group from Canada. That would be Patrick and March. March's Fragbox on YouTube, if you guys don't know him. I don't know if Polyp Lab Phil is going to come. I think that I still need to confirm with him. But there's that. There's Corey from Nios /White Coral /ATI. I think he's bringing his two bosses, the CEOs of those companies. What else is flying in? A bunch of people. On like the freshwater paludarium side, there's Serpa Design. He's going to be a speaker at the event alongside Joe Waiulo. So it's, and by the way, there's literally like 50 other people that I'm just forgetting off the top of my head. So if I didn't name you, sorry. But like these are the people that I've like seen actual like travel stuff go through with, or have a confirmed speaker engagement here. So yeah, that's going to be like a really good time. Then, like yeah, the lore continues. One of the other folks that may or may not come, he said, "Well, is this going to be open to the public? You're gonna like do a lot of sales." I'm like, "Well, actually, it's not open to the public. It was just meant to be the industry guests from out of town and this club that's the speaking engagement." And he's like, "No, you really should open it up to the public." And I'm like, "That's just going to be a mess. You know, there's going to be so many people here. Like food is going to be a whole thing. Like, what the heck, right?" But then I got to thinking, well, there's it's a Friday, meaning my staff is already working. I don't have to finagle with them about coming in on like a Saturday to do like an event because, they want to stay home for the weekend and all that. But they're already working on a Friday. So I can just have the event. I just have to make it relatively easy for them. And plus whatever volunteer help I get from the clubs themselves. Uh, but yeah, it was kind of interesting. Like it just sort of came together. Now, you guys are literally the first public people hearing about this. We To say that it's a half-baked idea is giving way too much credit to the oven because it's not half-baked. It's like barely even in the oven at all. The only thing that's for sure is that it is on Friday, September 12th. The open to the public portion officially is going to be noon to 4 p.m. And I think that the clubs would be more than happy for folks to stick around, see what the club is all about, and watch the speakers. Which the two speakers are Joe Waiulo from the Long Island Aquarium. He's got a 20,000-gallon aquarium that he takes care of there. It's a 25,000-gallon, heavily SPS dominated reef. It is the biggest reef tank probably in the world, which is saying a lot considering that like an hour away is Andrew Sandler's tank, and his is bigger by a good bit, like 3,000 gallons, right? Uh, and Serpa Design, huge YouTuber. So if you're not into like the freshwater paludarium space, trust Tanner Serpa is a big deal. So I'm very happy to get those guys on board. There might be other speakers, but those are the confirmed. Okay. So, Mark Thor, hello from the UK, Than. Hello. A few of your countrymen, like I said, they're going to come visit. Philip Fest, just dropping to say hi. We'll probably miss another live show. Family's in town today. That's a bummer. That's too bad. Hello, everyone. Blue Basin Aquatics, Fish Fam Link, Quonk. Van, we need more content. I can only rewatch your videos so many times. I am working on that. I know how completely derelict that has gone. Like, there's a few reasons for it. Partly is the fact that I don't care about the YouTube algorithm at all. So like the pressure that other YouTubers feel about having to produce content, I kind of don't feel. I don't care. But the bigger deal is sometimes I just don't have anything to say. And I'm not going to manufacture a story. However, there has been enough development going on at both here in the new building and at the greenhouse that is worth an update video. So, I actually do have some voiceover done for both of those topics, and I hope to get something edited soon for those things. Fish Ventura, I'll miss your BBQ. Here's for the beer fund, 1999. Thank you so much, Fish Ventura. I know I appreciate it a lot. I was actually having a conversation with somebody that was thinking about sponsoring the event, and I basically, like, this was yesterday. I basically talked him out of it because I don't know exactly what I can promise, and I was planning on just paying for food and drink out of pocket. So the company was like, "Yeah, we're trying to get an idea of what the ROI might be for this event." And I straight up said, "I wouldn't expect any ROI from this. Like, I have no clue who's coming. I have no idea how many people from the public are coming. Uh, this isn't a trade show. We don't sell a lot of dry goods. When we sell like test kits and things that we can throw into an overnight coral shipment, that sort of stuff, right? But this company sells heavy things, like think rocks and substrate and stuff. And usually when like a store has an open house, they have dry goods sections. So there might be an Ecotech section, there might be an ATI section, there might be a Red Sea, name your companies, right? And it would make a lot of sense if it's a big well-attended event to fly all these company reps in. The company reps go straight to their like department and start answering questions and basically selling product. So it makes a lot of sense in that regard. There's tons of business that gets done. This ain't that, you guys. I was 100% planning for this to be all social, no business. So for those out of town industry people, I was like, you are under no obligation whatsoever to work. However, it is a good opportunity for content creation because A, you're at Tidal Gardens. There's wherever you look, there's going to be something interesting. It is what it is. This place is very photogenic. There's cool stuff that we do here. Anywhere you look is going to be interesting. Also, there's all the other industry pros that are interesting. Uh, like having giant YouTubers in house is always going to be interesting. So, um, who is going to be a creator? So I mentioned Fragbox, March. I'm expecting March. March, you better show up. Uh, um, there's the guys from Reef Beef. Do you guys know Ben Johnson and Rich Ross? They confirmed. So that'll be cool to have them. We might do a podcast. There's Salem Clemens and ACI Chris Meckley. They do some podcasting stuff as well. So there's going to be a day that we can do some filming with them. Yeah, so like a lot of people. Obviously Yorkshire Reefer I mentioned from the UK. I think Corey from Germany. He might do a little bit of content. Who else? Obviously Serpa, big YouTuber. There's people that I'm just forgetting. But again, like I said, very half-baked idea. It should be fun though. I'm certainly looking forward to it. I'm looking forward just trying to plan it out to make it smoother, I guess. Okay, let's get into some of the chat. Philip Fez, dang, I must have missed my invite. It's open to the public. So technically, everybody that everybody that wasn't directly on my cell phone list didn't get an invite. Um, I invited Andrew Sandler. I invited a couple stores, like so Cherry Corals. I think confirmed, like they're going to be hanging around. So, do you guys know Cherry, Todd Cherry, and Brett? They they're cool. Todd's been here once before. Brett has not. It'll be nice for him to see the place. Yeah, I mean, in general, I for the folks that have not seen this place, I'm excited for them to come in, see the place. Um, and it is kind of like different with the professional folks versus the hobbyists because it shouldn't be because I think at the end of the day for any people that are like influential on YouTube and whatnot, it's important to see their tanks. It is important to see their work product because anybody can just talk into a camera. It's the work is also doing the talking, and you might not want to listen to people that don't know what they're talking about because they have a garbage aquarium. You might think I have a garbage aquarium and stop listening to me, but it's important to go through that process. It is important. Fish Ventura, I'm jealous. Have fun. Yeah, I hope it's gonna be all good. um, Palmetto Coral Company. Could you go over a somewhat in-depth fish QT process? I am a bad messenger for that because we don't even do it. I outsource that to people that do it well. We don't have like the attention or just the bandwidth to do that. So we buy fish retail now, straight up retail. Because again, like they're just so much better suited to this. If you wanted to get some really good detail on that, look up either. I mean, people like the methodology that is talked about on the Humble Fish Forum. That whole thing, they talk a lot about it there. Elliot Lim from Marine Collectors, I did a podcast with him, and we went over some quarantine fish process. Eventually, I want to talk quarantine fish with Patrick from Reef Wholesale in Canada, who again is also going to attend the function in September, because like he probably quarantines as many fish as anybody does. Like they're the biggest wholesaler in Canada. He sees millions of dollars worth of fish come in, and he does quarantine. So he's like a fantastic resource. Now, I always have to like say, with a grain of salt, because a boutique operation like Elliot from Marine Collectors is going to have slightly different methodology than somebody like Patrick because just of the scale of their operation. Um, there's stuff that makes sense in small batches, but when you're bringing in like 1,000 damsels, you're going to be doing different things. So that is kind of like two good perspectives. And the other thing is like sometimes these things don't work for you. Uh, for example, Patrick is really big into dipping fish just like for short periods of time. We're talking like seconds in fresh water and I'm blanking on it. Formalin. Formalin, very toxic, guys. You shouldn't mess with formalin. It causes cancer pretty quickly. So, but they do. Actually, both of them do. But he is like a big proponent of freshwater dip, formalin. Whenever we dip fish in just the freshwater part, they die. So we're super gun shy. He's like, no, don't worry about it. It's like this, just this many seconds, it's fine. We do it for that many seconds, fish dies. So again, it's your mileage may vary, but at least this is coming from somebody that does it for real, with real stakes. Hillbilly Reefer. It's a shame that you're not located in Florida. I have a forest of Aptasia for your Bergia farm. You know, a forest of Aptasia is like a couple Bergia away from not a forest of Aptasia. Um, Having said that, our biggest problem with Bergia is that a lot of our fish tend to eat them whenever we want to use them to eradicate Aptasia in our tanks. Any tank for us that has like certain damsels and certain wrasses, they just will not tolerate the existence of Bergia. Yeah, exactly. They eat the super helpful nudibranchs, and they kind of don't help as much with like Montipora nudies, for example, which are the bane of my existence. Not that it's a huge deal here, but anytime that you're dealing with like a coral eating nudibranch, it's going to be a sucky experience. Got Chris, huh? Guy has so much energy I can listen to his thought all night. Chris is a character for sure. Who else is coming? Eye catching coral's coming. Just thinking like Chris Smeckley has a coral farm. Eye catching has a coral farm, and they're more or less local. They're like an hour away. Gavin Jones, what's your muriatic acid bath recipe? Um, are we talking just for like just for what do you call it? To clean like trays and stuff? We go pretty heavy. We go heavy enough that it's a really good idea to use tongs and stuff to like get stuff out. If you're talking about soaking live rock to try to clean that up, I think we're using whatever concentrations recommended online. And it's only moderately helpful to us because we did that trying to like leach out some stuff like phosphate. It didn't matter. Like the rock is still leaching phosphate once we get it back into the tanks. Turn that turn that like button blue and smash the subscribe to show your appreciation. Thank you, Fish Fam. Let's see. Trav, all my tidal garden zoophags grew up into huge colonies. That's great. That's great. Zoas are, they can be unexpectedly tricky. They can either do super well and grow like crazy, or they are just affected by all the little things that build up and just keep them down. So like too much detritus around them, they suffocate. Certain bugs they don't really like. Like there's this dirt shrimp that I call them. They look like little baby mantis shrimp. Tanacea is the genus, I think. I screwed that name up. But anyway, they look like little mini mantis shrimp. And what happens is they form mucus tunnels right up against coral, especially zoas. While they are not necessarily a pest, that proximity to detritus bothers um, bothers zoas. And I'm just going to go ahead and say it, okay? I don't think there's a way to get rid of them because we have dipped before in like zoas can be dipped in all kinds of stuff like freshwater with hydrogen peroxide. Um, like our favorite dip is reef primer. Dipped it in everything. They survive. They survive absolutely everything. Like when you're dipping it in hydrogen peroxide and water, and barely anything is holding on for dear life, they didn't care. They just come right back. And then we hit the system with a 3x dose of interceptor for 3 rounds over the course of a week. So that's like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. A 3x dose. So for those scoring at home, that is like $2,000 worth of interceptor. It's a very strong dose. That should kill every crustacean in the system. It didn't kill them. They survived. So if you have them, just try to keep your zoas cleaner. And maybe you can do like what do you call it? Just have like a couple of mandarins, like a mated pair of mandarins or something like that. And the predation, because like mandarins would love to eat some little creepy crawly like that. Brian Mahoney, I'm enjoying this stream with a bowl of ramen. Nice. Cleaning racks and equipment. Yeah, I don't know the exact concentration. We don't really measure. Okay, hold on. The guys might measure something out. I don't measure something out. I would just go blah 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 into RO. I'm enjoying the stream with a bowl of ramen. There's a decent ramen joint by my place. They have like this pork bone ramen that I like a lot. It is it's something that they cook for 8 hours. I think they start like the night before, and like this pork bone broth like cooks all through the day, and then is ready for like serving time. And that's some pretty legit like Tokyo ramen. The Pyrotechnic 23, not a fan of ECC. They kept sending me junk corals to our shop in their frag packs. I have never bought frag packs from them. Well, partly because we are local, we can just shop for stuff. Um, but I don't really shop. It's crazy. We did we did a little audit somewhat recently, and we bought such a limited amount of coral that I would guess a good retail customer with a decent sized aquarium might have bought more coral this year than Tidal Gardens. Like, that's how little it was. We had a rep from Quality Marine come and visit about a month ago, and yeah, I straight up said, yeah, we're a bad customer. Like, we don't buy anything. And they're like, really? When was the last time you bought something? I'm like, I have no idea. I have no clue whatsoever. And they looked it up. The last time I placed an order with Quality Marine, big LA wholesaler, I think it was September 2024. That was the last time I bought anything. Uh, Fast forward to today. We had eye catching over. They were buying some stuff from us, and it was another one of those situations. Like, I don't know when the last time that we bought anything was. This year, I'm absolutely sure that the distributors and stuff like that we sell to, we've sold more to them than we have purchased from them. Like, that's how crazy it's gotten here. Now, should we be buying more? Probably. I'm probably missing out on a lot of like the sort of corals you would bring in and just flip, like the trachees, the scolies, acanthophyllia, like the stuff that's not really farmable. I'd miss out on that stuff. And so, sure, like Sinarina, Endophilia, yeah, probably should be shopping more for that. But in terms of stuff that I want to bring in and farm, uh, it's a very, very small list. Speaking of like Chris at ACI, I bought two corals from him this whole year. Yeah, it's crazy. We don't shop. That's good. Had bugs on my acrofrags from you guys. One of the few times I've seen them. They come and go. They come and go. Like, we basically have it on. We basically have it on the calendar to do interceptor runs. Just just cause, like, at scale, these things survive everything, and the eggs especially can go dormant for a really long time. And when you have super hot weather, stuff starts to hatch, like stuff that might have been sitting dormant for like ages. That's especially true for things like the Montipora eating nudibranchs. We went 5 years without buying any Montipora and having no trace of them. And they came back out of nowhere because I think we had like an 86-degree in the water day, and that'll hatch some weirdness. That will hatch some weirdness. The other day, we thought that we had bugs again, which is like crazy considering we had just gotten done with Interceptor, right? And like the bugs themselves, after 3 rounds of 3x Interceptor, they don't live. That I'm pretty confident when it comes to that. Like red bugs is like the 1x dose, and like the white and black bugs are going to be more along the lines of like the 3x dose. But this was like shortly after, like maybe like a month after we had run Interceptor, and we saw something on a large polyp stony. And on camera, it looked like it looks like a white bug, which is like again super weird considering that we nuked that entire system from space. Um, but once I saw the video of it, it didn't move like it didn't move like a bug because like bugs scurry. These things glided, and they didn't look like a nudibranch. It looked like a crustacean, but it wasn't a crustacean. It was almost like a cowrie, if you know what a cowrie snail looks like. But these are like microscopic. And luckily, a couple rounds of dipping, and those are gone. Which, by the way, very luckily, because if it was a crustacean that we wanted to kill in a system that size, it's thousands of dollars in Interceptor to go back through it like that. And especially right after we just did it. Because also, 3x Interceptor, you're going to lose some corals. That is getting like borderline toxic for corals. Any tips to combat bryopsis algae? You know, I don't know if I have like great advice for bryopsis because it's not an issue we deal with that often here. Bryopsis tends to be an algae that kind of becomes more of a big deal when you knock down other algae to a big extent. Like um, the times that we would struggle, it's not even struggle, we would grow any bryopsis of any kind is if we do a treatment in like fluconazole to knock down something like ulva, because like ulva is a macroalgae. Is that like terrible for your tank? I mean, certain like herbivores would be happy to eat it. It's like the lettuce macroalgae. But when we hit that system with fluconazole, all the bryopsis immediately dies. I'm sorry. All the ulva immediately dies, and then other sorts of algae start to die back as well. And I think that opportunity to grow like opens the door for bryopsis. So we might have like a tuft or two of it, and then eventually it'll get smothered by some coralline or something like that. So all we do is if enough of it kind of like builds up, we just go in there and clean it up. And again, give give herbivores an opportunity to mow it down and give other algae an opportunity to choke it out. I wouldn't necessarily think immediately, oh no, this is like a chemical issue, we need to do some crazy stuff. The biggest thing I think is the herbivores. Most things aren't going to like big hairy tufts of algae. Like if you have a hair algae problem, you have to like chop it down and get it to the point where you can't see it, and polish it up as best you can. Launch the herbivore army, because once it gets to be like tree-like, they don't want it. But if it's just like nubs, just like the fresh growth, they'll go to town on that. Oh man. So what else is new here? I'm gonna bury the lead just a little bit with kind of like some of the stuff that I wanted to update with in like a dedicated video. But I purchased a few demo ATI Stratons. If you guys are familiar with those LEDs, they're from Germany. ATI is German. I saw those lights in the Netherlands in person for the first time at a conference called Vivarium. Very cool. Those lights are super slick. They are really thin, about like the thickness of like an iPhone, I would say. They have no fans, no active cooling, so they radiate all of the heat through like the aluminum body, and they're pretty impressive, I gotta say. It's like the most expensive light you can buy on Earth probably, but very impressive. Like the control I heard was very frustrating. We were able to set it up just fine. It was fine. Was it like my favorite control? Probably not. But I think every controller could, there's always like some room for improvement when it comes to that. But no, it worked pretty much right out of the box like I would have expected it to work. So that's good. We'll see if there's, we'll see if, like, if we have a power outage or something, whether it retains program better than other lights. The cool thing about that light is, given how like really thin it is, you would think that the light bleed would be insane on it, but it's really not the case. It does focus down pretty well. It's never really in your eyes, and if you lower it ever so slightly, because we tend to have our lights higher for maintenance purposes. If you lower it just in the ballpark of your eye level, you can't see by looking at the fixture that the lights are on. That's how little light bleed that there is. You know how, like, if you have hanging lights, there's a lot of light bleed that gets into your eyes. There's no light bleed. And then if you back away, I would say about 30 feet away, it doesn't look like there's lights on your tank because they're so slim, low profile that they just vanish. So as far as like the aesthetics and the fit and finish and build of the lighting fixture itself, I was like super impressed. And again, not sponsored by ATI. I spent money on those lights. Just saying. Uh, but yeah, but Corey is an industry friend, and I've been like talking with him about like like my thoughts on the lights and some technical questions back and forth. So that's been good. We set up a tank just to evaluate those guys, and I've been told, if you're going to evaluate these lights, please, please, please fill this tank with acros, because this fixture is likely super mega overkill for like large polypstonies or softies. This is an SPS monster. We were trying to make the gold standard for SPS. I'm like, cool, that I can do. That I can do. Jonathan, I know folks always cite their herbivores, but that ignores a lot of folks with smaller tanks where tanks, etc., are less of an option. Cleanup crew can help, but sometimes it's just too much. Uh, I would say that the best herbivores aren't tanks at all, or fish at all. I am a big proponent of snails big proponent of tuxedo urchins. I would say that those two things together will do a vastly superior job than most fish. I don't like fish that much. I think tangs are jerks. I think fox faces are jerks, and they're psychotic. I would love to have most of my algae control done by like really small urchins and snails. I just wish that snails survived the shipping and acclimation process better. Whenever we bring in, let's say, 600 snails, expect 200 of them to not make it. That's how bad that sucks. David F. So at the live show online in May, I purchased a Hellscape Microgani and Rainbow Microgani, and oh my gosh, so gorgeous. They're thriving and steadily growing, amazing colors and corals, period. Yeah, for people that are looking to get into Ganis, because Ganis can be a little tricky, those two Microganis are a great gateway drug because they look gorgeous, they grow really nicely, they're not nearly as sensitive as some of the other Ganis can be. Like everybody wants to get amaze balls, glitter bombs, and stuff like that, right? Some of those corals, for some odd reason, they don't like being around any other coral other than their own kind. So there's people that only have amaze balls in a tank, and I'm not talking like that's the only Gani that they have. That's the only coral that they have, or like amaze balls. And so like those micro Ganis, uh, they pretty much play well chemically with other corals. They have much less drama. They grow nicely, like I said. So I'm glad that you're happy with them. What's your thought on the new AI lights? No fans could be awesome. Unfamiliar. I have not tried them. BRS has the 5 foot long skinny ATI Stratton. No fans may replace Radions in the next one. I don't know that ATI has a 5 foot fixture. The biggest one I've seen is like, if I had to guess, maybe 24 by 30. Like it's and about 2 grand retail. That's the biggest problem I think is to kit out a facility in ATI Stratons. I mean, I'm assuming, okay, that you're getting like the wholesale price, blah 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 blah. It's so much money. It's so much money. Because again, it's like when you have like a big operation, yeah, every square foot adds up. I'm curious to see like the longevity of the lights and stuff like that too, because I've only had them running for about a week, and there we don't even have any corals in that tank yet. Not because there's no light, but because there probably isn't enough flow for acros right now. So we were working on some other things. We're doing some spring cleaning, uh, spring like midsummer cleaning. We have a giant dumpster here that we're just trying to like clear stuff out. So we've been focusing on that, less so focused on like this empty 200 and something gallon tank. Tony says, Hypar Giro A100 aquarium light is awesome. 100 watts, corals are thriving and love it. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, there's cheap lights on Amazon that work. We use them. Like, we use the Vipar Spectra, which they fluctuate in price from about like 150-ish on the high end to when they go on like super special for like 120-ish, depending on the number of fixtures you get. They are, I mean, they're not perfect, but if you're looking for a light that works, looks decent-ish, lasts a while, it's a Chinese black box. It works all right. And like I said, we use them in the greenhouse. And my thought was they're basically disposable because the greenhouse is such a harsh environment. We haven't lost any. Okay, maybe we lost one. And I think we lost one not because it stopped working, but I think that like the hanging kit like got messed up, and you can't buy a replacement hanging kit. Like I think that's the only reason why one of them stopped working. I do have to say though that when we were going through our run of like electrical issues, electrical issues, like we're having electrical issues. No, the power company ran out of power and had to do rolling blackouts. So what would happen is they would lose program or lose time really badly, like worse than any other fixture that we have here. That was a downside. It's $100 light. What do you expect? What do you expect? It's like I'm not going to hold them to the same standard that I would hold like an Ecotech Radeon or an ATI Stratton. Like, come on, it's $100 Amazon light. Jonathan, agree on the microgonies. I have a sunburst, harlequin, and a rainbow in the back of my 3.8-gallon desk mate. Pretty small tank. And they're all happy, healthy, and growing. We have like this tiny single frag of a bright yellow one, like a canary yellow one. And so far, so good. Fingers crossed it's healthy. It's just we need to get it growing to a point where I'd be comfortable cutting it. It's not there yet. It's still very small, but it looks healthy. And I've taken on the task now of doing some spot feeding of that particular tank, in particular the Ghanies. And yeah, high hopes. High hopes. Vipar Spectra is insane with what par some of them put out. Yes, I've won burn stuff at like 700 par. Yeah. So the thing about Vipar Spectra is that they are extremely spotlighty. So what that means is, you know how like an Ecotech Radian will say like, oh, it can handle a 24 by 24 or even like a 30 by 30 footprint, which you know the math on that isn't wonderful. Uh, Meaning that like I don't want to get into the huge debacle of light construction system design stuff, right? But if you shine a Radion down at a piece of paper at a certain distance, it will cover a 30-inch by 30-inch footprint. Cool, all right? A Vipar Spectra is going to be like 20 by 20. It's going to be way smaller than like the 30-ish by 30-ish thing you would get from a Radion at the same distance. It's a lot more punchy, straight on spotlighty. So what we have to do is we have to run more fixtures at lower power. The lower power thing is kind of nice because they don't take that much electricity to run. They don't generate the kind of heat that a fixture that's really pushing wattage through it has to deal with. You're covering more area with more lights in a way because LEDs tend to be so directional that you're almost always better suited getting more fixtures and trying to cover different angles rather than a single fixture that's covering like a big footprint. Because of the way that shadowing works, that big broad footprint might still be casting some harsh shadows. And when these harsh shadows cover portions of a coral colony, it's basically zero light where there's a shadow. And that actually invites die-off and stuff like SPS. But if you have like multiple fixtures, now you can start to have like different angles and things like that. You get fewer of these like harsh, shadowy, zero light areas, and that's kind of beneficial. Excuse me. Ever had to deal with brown clove polyps? I'm losing the battle. Looking at fenbendazole. Um, no, I have not. I have a funny story about fenbendazole. I'm able to get it from my vet. It's I send him all the literature about all the stuff that we're trying. Just to like you just to have like the reasonable, legitimate background info to purchase this stuff. Very above board for this application. Okay. But there's not like a great methodology or guideline for fenbendazole. And I'm worried about like, well, how much of this am I supposed to dose? Should it be mixed into food? Is it um, does it work if it's just in the water? Does the fish have to consume it and then it gets pooped out and the coral then consume the poop? Does the coral directly consume the fenbendazole? Like, I don't know the method like of delivery of fenbendazole. I don't know if the fenbendazole is going to kill something I don't want it to kill, like an urchin. That would be bad for me. So I have this little baggie of fenbendazole that we just have on our shelf. And I'm just like, at some point we need to experiment with this, but so far the day has not come yet. And what am I trying to kill with fenbendazole? Basically any kind of flatworm. Like if there is a whole tank treatment that works really well for flatworms, that is gentle on everything else, the other fish and inverts, I would strongly welcome that. There's a lot of optimism for fenbendazole, but it's not something that is really well fleshed out yet. Very cutting edge. That is also one of the things about having a coral farm. You have large interconnected systems most of the time. There's not a lot of individual tanks that you can experiment on smaller scales with. So our like the SPS tank that I'm most concerned of, like that has any issue with like flatworms, for example. Well, it's connected to a 2,500-gallon system. Like that's always like the big concern. You're doing a treatment for this one specific thing, and you're subjecting all these other things that had no issue with let's say a flatworm, or in the case of interceptor, like those anemones didn't have any issue with bugs. Why did they get blasted, right? Or that LPS had no issue with bugs. Now you've set back uh, all of these other corals because it is a harsh treatment. Like I think that whole tank treatments, like by definition, are kind of harsh. So yeah, it's troublesome to really do those experiments because it's like if this goes sideways, you done screwed up. You done screwed up big time. Any experience or thoughts on Steve's LEDs for BioCube 32? I have no idea what that is. So hopefully somebody else in chat has had some experience that they can share. Tony, my tank is all natural, all rock, straight from Fort Lauderdale Reef, not cured. I get I get amazed every day seeing new creatures come out from here and there. That's cool for a hobbyist. That's cool. I mean, when I first started into the hobby, I was very excited about that type of stuff too. As a coral farmer, all of that I find horrific. I'm like, nope. If I didn't put you in, you can't stay. It's okay. So this is funny. To that effect, we have some they're not hitchhikers necessarily, but it's Stomatella varia. It's a type of snail, and we have what do you call it? The microbrittle stars. And at one time, my guys were like, "These microbrittle stars are everywhere, and like we need to find something to eat them." I'm kind of looking at them like, "What do you mean?" It's like, I've got a better idea. Why don't we sell them for money? And so we just made like a pack of them, and they sell like hotcakes. And also, uh, it completely eliminates the discussion of like when people get one on a piece of coral, they're like, "Oh noes, I got a pest." You didn't get a pest. In fact, you got free product now because micro brittle stars are like great, great detritivores. They reproduce. They don't bother corals really. They yeah, they just go around, consume all kinds of uneaten food and whatnot. You don't have to baby them. They'll never get to like a population so big and suddenly the entire tank crashes. Like that never happens. Yeah, they can just like live in your sump or refugium, and like they are less dangerous for your stuff than copepods. Because copepods, if they get hungry enough for some reason, they can start to like do damage. They can start to like eat corals. They can eat other inverts. Like I've had one eat a sand cucumber before, sea cucumber. That was horrific. Yeah, that's not fun. And no, you would never have that issue with like microbrittles. So yeah, I forget exactly how much we've sold of micro brittle stars, but we probably have sold packs daily for months now. So I guess that goes against the the sentiment of like I want to control as much as possible and exclude stuff because like no, there's some stuff that's pretty amazing that you can get. Love your micro brittle stars. They are huge. Yeah, yeah, they're nice. Had a couple of micro brittle stars come in on frags. Now I have hundreds. Yeah, and like I said, they're really good. Like they are likely helping you bring your nitrates down. That's how good they are. Yeah, and I feel bad when I accidentally like wash something and and like a micro brittle star comes off of it because like starfish they don't do well with getting hit by tap water. They almost immediately explode. Yeah, like sorry little buddy, I didn't see you. One sec. Huh. Oh, give me one sec. I need to plug in my computer. And I'm back. Okay. I was like, yeah, I forgot my laptop is the thing that's doing the broadcasting and I didn't plug it in. We are done with our first phase of redoing the greenhouse tanks. And that's going to be a topic for an upcoming video here. I've done the voiceover. I need to like edit all the things. Uh, coupling that with like the spring cleaning that we're doing here, that greenhouse is legit uh, getting cleared out to such a degree, and it is yeah, it's almost unrecognizable to what it's been in for like the past, I don't know, decades. And it's so nice now to actually work in there. There's room to move around, and we still have to eventually redo the second half of the greenhouse, but we haven't decided on the layout because there's less room to work with compared to the half that we did. So might have to get just a little bit creative when it comes to those systems. And I have like a general idea of what I would like to do, uh, but it could be a bit of a project. It could be a bit of a project because I think that the right answer, so there's like a there's an easy reshuffle that we could do, and there's a much trickier one. And I think that the correct answer might be the much trickier one. Don't love that, but it might be the right answer. Yeah, so the volume of the water that's in the greenhouse is going way down. The serviceability of everything is going way up. The number and quality of the workstations way, way up. So yeah, it's I'm really enthusiastic about how that project has come together because there was there was just so much, I guess, wrong with like the previous layout, and to go to this newer one, it is it's almost like a joy to work on these. What the reef? What's up, Tidal Gardens? Welcome to the August show. Glad you could make it. Glassbox Aquatics. Than, thoughts on microbiome and live rock becoming popular again? Um, so it is. There's no question that microbiome to me crazy important. How measurable that is, trickier question. Um, like you can send out your water samples to like aquabiomics, but microbiome is one of those things that's really 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 cutting edge, and you might find a because the thing about microbiome is it's not homogeneous throughout your tank. Obviously, right? If you take a water sample from like the top of your water versus a water sample practically touching your rock versus a water sample in the middle of an acropora colony, I would venture to guess that those three samples, you're going to get completely different looking microbiomes because it is so like region specific in within your tank. It's not like an ICP where it's like, you know, the level of selenium more or less is going to be the same throughout a system. The level of iodine probably the same throughout the whole system. Microbiome ain't that. They have neighborhoods. So measuring it trickier, but the benefits of it are super obvious. Like how how clear the water is, how how certain algae and red slime and all that stuff, how much of a problem or not a problem that stuff is. Microbiome. Yeah, it's one of those things that's like really hard to quantify. And given the choice of real, honest to God live rock, even if it was like dried out and killed, bleached, acid washed, and then put back into your system, I would much rather that as like the the core rock in my system over something that got mined. Uh, Simple fact, like the stuff is just different. Like Live rock is feathery light in most cases, whereas like the mined stuff, super dense, and you want that lightness and airiness because like the porosity of these things. It depends on where the stuff is was mined from. Depends on where in the reef this stuff was from, as to what might leach out. Right now, we have rocks that we've used for years. We set them out in the sun and used for years, meaning they were running in aquariums. We broke down those aquariums during this remodel. We power washed those guys, left them out in the sun, all that fun stuff. Acid bath them, and then now we're using them in brand new systems, full new saltwater systems. Uh, Immediate phosphate spike after all that. So yeah, I mean, stuff is gonna lock in some goofiness, and who knows? Like maybe us doing the acid wash opened up pockets of phosphate to leach out of rocks, but it does leach out stuff. So there you go. Franklin West, what are you doing with all the extra tanks from the greenhouse? Good question. We had a couple of extra glass tanks. One of them was leaking. We gave it away. It was a club, I think from Cincinnati. One of the Cincinnati people took it. We had a couple of extra glass tanks with standard plastic rims. One of my employees purchased those because he does like some side hustle coral selling too. There was another tank that somebody from Columbus bought. But the stuff that we have the most of are the Rubbermaid stock tanks, like old Rubbermaid stock tanks. There's some people here and there that wanted to take them, and so they're welcome to take those. Um, we've replaced them with brand new ones, so which is like two brand new ones. Because like the old ones, they're fine. They're old Rubbermaid stock tanks are kind of hard to have a lot of high standards for that. And we killed all the pallies and stuff like that with bleach, so they're not like too toxic, and they've been sitting in the sun all summer. But no, it's like if the people that want them come pick them up, great. Otherwise, we're gonna chuck them into a dumpster. Aquariums down under. I set up my first tank with Marco Rock recently and had so many issues for the first year and a half. I had multiple tanks in the past using live or dried live rock and never had much issues. Yeah, I mean it's like a lot of times rock will have bound up all kinds of like weird stuff and facilitate the growth of who knows what. One thing that has helped me a lot was okay, so this is just like one anecdote. We had this one system, 3,000 gallons. We left it basically empty for a year. We had Marco Rock in it. It grew, like problematic nuisance nonsense. It looked gross. And then we had so much of just extra overgrowth type corals, like big chalices and things like that. And they were soaking up a lot of space in highly productive systems. Like, you know, we can't even like sell these things at this size. We can't even put it into a box because some of them are like sombrero sized. So I said, hey guys, take all these corals, let's dip them, just between systems we dip and stuff. Dip these guys and put all of it, just making room, push all of that into this new system, this 3,000 gallon system. That, no joke, we had running for a year. Almost instantaneously, all of those little nuisancey problematic stuff went away within the course of a few weeks. So yeah, the idea that, oh no, I need to add corals slowly. You don't. I look at corals practically as live filtration, and they did an astonishingly good job at at seeding the correct microbiome and clearing stuff out. Bob Wells, I'm upgrading from 100 gallons from a 40. How would you establish a new tank to make the transfer more successful? Yeah, just like I said, I would. I so fish is one thing, right? Fish is like a legitimate bioload, but corals are not. So I would like take. I would just move the corals right over. And if you, so if it was me, I always like to take the opportunity to give it a dip. But if you're fine with your corals, send them. Glassbox Aquatics. What are the chances of Tidal Gardens of a Tidal Gardens beginner build series? Not impossible, but not altogether likely either. Using something like a UNS 35A all in one. I think all in ones are the best for someone new in the hobby. I don't know if all in ones are the best for somebody new in the hobby. I think that they're popular because they're easy to sell, but I don't think they're the best. I'm not convinced that many of them are all even that good. Um, so like also like the thing I struggle with when it comes to like beginner content, uh, I had Becca do like a tank series because she is a beginner. At least like well, 3 years ago she was a beginner, um, and it was an okay series. It was an okay series, but I think it kind of ran its course. So I think that the closest thing that we've ever done to a beginner series is like her tank, and that was, I mean, it's bigger than like a 35 gallon. It was, you know, what size was it? 120 maybe. I mean, as if it's not still running downstairs. It is running downstairs. It's an anemone tank right now. But that's something to check out. Like to do a tank series from scratch with our production schedule, not happening. Besides, BRS has something. They did their 52 weeks thing. That's a good series for beginners. I guess the other thing is like our stuff here, like our day-to-day stuff is so like professional focused these days. It is almost like we're getting out of touch when it comes to like that level of beginner. Glassbox Aquatics, last one. Any chance of getting Salem Clemens on the podcast? It'd be a great one. I think so too. So he's confirmed to come and visit us for our September 13th event. If you guys had not heard, I mentioned it early in this live stream, but we are having an open house event on. So, did I say September 13th? Friday, September 12th. We are having an event here. There is a portion of it that is open to the public. Okay, take advantage of that, you guys. The last time that we hosted anything of this kind, people ask about it to this day. That was 6 years ago. I promise you, this will not be an every year thing. Okay? Mid September. Salem is planning on being there. He is also planning on filming content with Chris Meckley, likely a podcast. Okay? So I might be a guest on his podcast if there is time, which might be unlikely. I might record podcasts. I say it might be unlikely only because it is a big entertaining weekend and I am the host. So like it's hard to do a podcast in that environment. Like I'm having what looks like possibly 50 guests flying in from all over the world. I don't know if I have like 45 minutes to record something while having hosting duties. So, but, some people are coming in like way early, like Wednesday. And like I said, I'm going to be entertaining the out of town guests from the first person that comes all the way to the last person leaves. So it might be a week that people are here, week and a half. I don't know. In those cases, there might be plenty of time for me to sit down and have podcasts with them. Let's see. Barry Goss Sr., Treasure Coast Reefers. Serious Reefs is doing a series like 52 Weeks of Reefing. Cool. Good. That's a great place for it. BRS Ryan, or formerly BRS Ryan, Serious Reefs Ryan, Brian Batchelor. He really wanted to come to this thing, but he has other entanglements like family, and he cannot come. He is super bummed, but he really, really, really wanted to make it work. He's just like, I am a bad dad if I like come to your thing so close to like these two other things that I'm traveling for. It's like I would probably be able to. I wouldn't I wouldn't forgive myself. But yeah, but he really, really wanted to come. So I wish he would come because obviously, like Ryan's a big deal. It'd be nice to see him again in person. Uh, but unfortunately, he can't make it to this event. Uh, Alex is asking, how long does it take for dry rock to become as good as live rock? Um, I'm just gonna make it up. A couple months. I'd say in a couple months. You should expect it to be live rock. Glassbox Aquatics. Where can I sign up for the event? Good question. There isn't a way yet. It's you guys are hearing it before anybody that is not part of the planning committee, which, by the way, doesn't completely exist yet. This is the earliest notification. I will probably make like an Eventbrite thing, publicize it there, publicize it through the newsletter, make an announcement, like more officially on the YouTube channel. Yeah. So yeah. So technically, as of right this second, Glassbox Aquatics, you don't need to sign up. You can just show up. We're not charging anything. We're not really promising anything. So like I plan to have food there. If we run out of food, that's your problem. I didn't promise any food. I will be buying food that will happen to be there for people. Be ready to go get yourself some of your own food. Yeah, the planning committee. There's no planning committee. It's me just like saying, "Would this work?" I don't know. Dude, just like it okay, because people in this industry are notoriously flaky. So, unless I see plane tickets and hotel reservations, I'm just gonna like, okay, well, like so and so said they're gonna come, but we'll see if anybody actually comes to this thing, right? But I have seen enough plane tickets and hotel reservations. They'd be like, okay, well, even if like this fraction of the people that I had invited show up, that's gonna be pretty cool. It's gonna be pretty cool. Joe Waiulo from the Long Island Aquarium. He has a big 20,000 gallon aquarium there that he maintains. He's going to be a speaker at the event. Serpa Design, big YouTuber that does paludarium content, freshwater paludarium pond content. He's going to be giving a talk at this event. Don't know if that's all the speakers that there's going to be because literally there could be 20 deserving speaker spots. I don't want to have like talks all day. Just it's not that necessary. I just wanted to hang out, you guys. I just wanted to hang out. Ain't that serious. But yeah, so there's gonna be like speakers. There's gonna be like a couple aquarium clubs. that are going to be, doing like their club meeting during this event. And technically they are the ones hosting the speakers that I mentioned. What else? Yeah. No, guys, it's a stream of conscious. Like that's the planning process right now. I'm like over here like trying to plan out the food, and it's like planning a wedding. It's like, okay, so when does the such and such have to come out? Because it's like, when the show starts at like noon, and the last speaker is done at like 7 p.m. Yeah, that pizza that showed up at noon 30 isn't going to be that good. So I have to like stagger when the food shows up. It's a thing. It's a thing. Tony, what's your favorite SPS? I am a big fan of Walt Disney Acropora. It's it's likely my favorite Acropora tenuis for the simple fact that it's bright yellow with some blue highlights and stuff, and I can see it from across the room because it's glowing yellow. I prefer it to some of the more desirable, higher priced ones because a lot of like the subtlety of their beauty has to be seen up close. A Walt Disney is a big bright yellow thing, and big bright yellow things are kind of uncommon in the hobby. And again, I can see it from across the room. It's gorgeous. Glassbox just signed up for the newsletter. Good, good. Be there or be square. And again, guys, I promise you, this is not going to be an every year thing. And I think that's probably the reason why a lot of the folks from overseas that said, "Yeah, I'll be there," because like people are coming from the UK, from Germany, Canada. They're probably driving. From Mexico, maybe from the Netherlands. Oh yeah, totally forgot. Uh, well, I shouldn't say because he's not confirmed, but there may be some guests from the Netherlands. Yeah, all the cool kids are going to be there. Ryan Bachelor. Stiffen me on my party. No, I'm kidding. Ryan's cool. We talk all the time. Reef theory. Dang, that would be a trek from the West Coast. Would still do it if the schedule allowed. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm just saying. People are like booking like business class flights from Europe. So I don't want to hear it just coming from LA. That's a short trip, you guys. That's only like 6 hours. Will we get a tour of the facilities? Yes. I would like to come and see the building. Yeah, obviously. Like the venue is the building. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Famous last words. I just wanted to hang out. Yeah, I think that this I think the my obligate well, okay, here's the thing. It's Friday, right? It's just a Friday. That's the open to the public thing. There's going to be plenty of time for probably an entire week for me to hang out with people. So like I'm going to be putting on like, train conductor hat for the actual event on Friday, just making sure stuff goes smoothly. Any chance of snake polyps going to be at the event? Been trying to get them from my macroalgae. We have snake polyps here. They're not happy because you need to feed them. Uh, Coming in from Georgia, cool, cool. I mean, Georgia, that's too far to drive, but you can fly in. You can fly in. CLE is the best airport. That's Cleveland. CAK, Canton, Akron. That also works. Telling everybody to stay at the Hilton DoubleTree, which is about 10 minutes away. Uh, I just know that people are going to get creative and just do their own thing. Like, uh, people, I recommend hotels, right? And then I hear that on this visit, no, 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 we're staying at like the Motel 6 or Motel 8 or whatever the heck. And I'm like, They're like, yeah, we're fighting the cockroaches every night. I'm like, bro, I didn't say go to Motel 8. And they're like, yeah, we're just trying to save the company some money. I'm like, why would you try to save your company money? That's crazy talk. Like one of the companies, you guys, was a public aquarium that has deep pockets. Okay, it was a business trip for this public aquarium to send these aquarists to Tidal Gardens. Okay, and they wanted to do a solid for their employer. I'm like, fools, stay at the Hilton. You should not have to be battling cockroaches because, oh, guys, uh, in Akron, Ohio, the difference between the cheapest and most expensive hotel is probably $70. Okay, it ain't that serious. So don't be trying to save money for a couple of hotel nights. It's not worth it. Just go to the Hilton. I mean, I'm sure that there's like plenty of other places where they could have stayed that are also cheaper than the Hilton that aren't, roach motels. Don't do the roach motel. It's not worth it. Let's see. Fish Ventura, 4.99 super chat. Thank you very much. Here's a thought: do 2 years so that people who would have regret for 6 years otherwise can plan for a 2 year correct their error. Yeah, it's not out of my character to do stuff out of spite. And I was just thinking of ways like, what can I do to make this event so good that people will feel like they screwed up big time if they didn't show up? Ryan Bachelor. Like, no, I'm picking on Ryan. I'm picking on because I'm guessing not enough people pick on Ryan Bachelor. But yeah, it's like it's not even so much that I want to like create fear of missing out because part of it is I kind of don't care who comes. Uh, but for the people that didn't come, I want there to be like some evidence out there that it was a good time. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Tony, I'll bring booze. There you go. There you go. I'm pretty sure that the public portion of this event from like noon to 4 p.m. Is not going to be the heavy drinking day drinking session. I don't trust you guys that well for that. Yeah, sounds like one of them hotels you can slide a whole pizza under the door. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. Oh, there's like a couple people that are likely going to be there that I do kind of feel guilty about because they are not in this industry. I've got two friends. One of them, like just she volunteered just to come help out and and brush off her bartending skills um, from back in the day. She's Dr. Kristen now, but sure, you can make drinks for people. And the other one is actually a sort of famous photographer in the area. She and I hang out occasionally. She and I met in high school way back when, a million years ago. We're old, but she's like so tied in to like the Akron scene here. Um, like she knows like the mayor's on speed dial sort of thing, and so like she was asked to shoot his wedding recently, that sort of stuff. Whoa, something happened. It's all black. No, hold on. Let me swap camera batteries. And we're back. That's the first time that's ever happened. I usually remember to switch batteries to the bigger battery to start the show. Clearly, that did not happen. So yeah, so this photographer might be there, and I'm like, yeah, and she's got like a lot of uh, photojournalist slash wedding photographer background. I'm like, you know, Shane, I know that like this is what you do professionally, so I would never ask you to like to do work. Um, but I bet she could make it look like this place totally was popping off. Like she's got the talent to do that. But I feel guilty about them because it's like they're not hobbyists. They don't care who all these visitors are. They just wanted to come and be supportive and hang out. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm gonna have to be a host. Therefore, like I'm gonna see you guys for like 5 minutes tops. Like I don't know if this is gonna be a good time for you guys. So anyway, yeah, spill some beer into the show tank. Yeah, that would be like, okay, we're never having this party ever again. We're good on that. We're good on that. Nothing in, yeah, if something makes it into the tanks, oh, yeah, at that point, it's like, okay, nobody is allowed back ever. We're shutting it down. It's COVID all over again. Like 3 years we didn't let people in here. Okay, I need to use the bathroom real quick. Be right back. And I'm back. Okay. Quickly check some tings. Cool. All right, where's chat? Poseidon's Paradise. What camera do you use? This is a Canon C200 cinema camera. Tony, I have 2 tanks, salt and fresh. I accidentally spilled Sprite into fresh water tank, and next morning water was like milk. That's not good. So out in the greenhouse, this is really weird. I don't know what exactly happened. We don't have like we don't have a great idea of what happened. But one of our skimmers just went crazy. And like it's not the first time that I've had a skimmer go crazy here. But this one was inconsolably crazy. Like usually when a skimmer goes crazy, the skimmer pump sometimes just needs to be restarted and then it balances out. Um, that was not happening. It was still like violently aggressively foaming. Okay, so then we was like, okay, so maybe we need to turn down the feed pump going into the skimmer. We dropped it from 2 out of 10 to 1 out of 10. That didn't fix it. We opened the valve that, that sets the height of the skimmer all the way open. So then I'm thinking, oh no, maybe the valve is broken. We removed the entire valve. Okay? So full open, no restriction from the valve. Then the body of the skimmer has a drain to empty the skimmer. And we opened that guy up, and still, when you plugged in the actual bubble making recirculation pump, the thing was like violently skimming still, and like it would fill up the collection cup in about 60 seconds, 1 minute. So we think that some kind of detergent got into the water and just made it extra foamy. So we're gonna have to like run. We're gonna have to run some activated carbon, which I'm a huge fan of now. I mean, I've always been, but lately, a lot of like random little nonsensical things get fixed by running activated carbon. Just stick with the basics at work, right? Do a water change, run activated carbon. Most problems go away. It's pretty amazing. Hey Than, my Mexican turbo snail popped 2 heads off my candy cane coral. The heads are free floating in the sand bed with polyps fully extended. Can I save them? Sure. All you need to do is go get some cyanocrylate super glue from the dollar store and glue them down to a rock. Like dry outside of your tank, and then just stick the rock and that head of candy cane back into your tank. All good. My skimmer's made out of 2 Fiji water bottle, air pumps, and a wooden bubble. It works great. Yeah, skimmers are surprisingly simple. Ours requires some degree of size to it, so that makes it a little bit more complicated. But yeah, it's a very old tech, and it works. It works. Yeah, so yeah, I think coming up here, I'll get both of those update videos done. I'm also working on like I shouldn't say I am. Becca is working on the edit of a much longer troubleshooting guide for Acropora. That should be good. Some stuff to look forward to on the YouTube channel, because I know that like I haven't made a video. Like, I mean, I've done live streams and stuff, but I haven't actually made an edited video for this channel for like 6 weeks. It's been too long, too long. But a big part of that though is that I just didn't really have anything to say. But as we're kind of making progress here and there, it's to the point where I can give some updates. So that's good. I used to have a tank in the mid 90s. Just came back to the hobby recently. Love LED lights. No more crazy build from metal halide lights. Yeah, I'll tell you what though. There are some people that still swear by metal halide. Um, you can make the argument that metal halides still are the best lights. You can make the argument that T5 fluorescents are still the best lights. I think that LED are coming of age, and they are certainly good enough. Because like these days, the benefits that I see with LED, it's like the heat issue, the controllability, the longevity. Like you don't have to really do bulb replacements. Um, a lot of those perks, like they make a big difference. One very underrated function with some fixtures is programming around moonlight. Uh, we didn't really mess with moonlight for the longest time, but this past year we had just activated that setting on one of our systems. And the goal was to encourage snail spawning, specifically spawning of trochus, because trochus snails are notoriously bad shippers. Notorious meaning you buy 250 of them and 6 survive. That's how bad it is. So if we're able to spawn our own snails in captivity, I mean, we always can use snails. So I would just have them for here. So we started to mess with moonlight for that. And I think that to some degree, there's some here and there have grown, but have spawned and grown. Not like huge numbers that I can tell. But one thing that definitely did happen that was very cool was that our hammers, torches, and frog spawned. And so our live rock in these tanks are there's like now dozens of small colonies. And I the first time I saw it, it's like, oh, there's like a mushroom or something that kind of like must have gotten detached and ended up on a rock. But the closer you look and and the bigger that they get, it's like, no, that's a hammer. Okay, cool. And then you notice like you look closer, it's like there's like a dozen little hammer heads there. And it's like I know that like and then getting going to think like, well, who the heck glued a hammer to the live rock? That's not something we do here. And nobody does because it was just growing by itself. And then we looked closer and there's hammers of different colors because like the easiest ones to see were orange, bright glowing orange. It's like, oh, those are cool. But now there's like multicolored ones. There's blues, there's greens, and all kinds of stuff. And just the other day, we saw our first torch coral. Clearly not a hammer. Yeah, that's a torch. It's like one of those black light torches. So it's like the deep, deep purple tentacle and the bright green tip. So that's cool. So yeah, I mean, like LED lights come a really long way. Mark, do you have any issues with corals such as mushrooms or xenia spreading in your systems? No, because we just sell them. Because a lot of this stuff it's just a matter of like price and availability and stuff. And so sometimes like a lot of our deeply discounted sales stuff is stuff that we're looking to thin out. Um, like a lot of like what you're seeing here, chalices. Certain chalices grow like crazy. So unless we're able to find somebody to take a gigantic one, so that would be the very uncommon public aquarium might want a big piece of something. Um, like big pieces like kind of suck to sell because the buyer practically has to be on site because we can't package this thing up and send it to somebody very easily with any real success. So it has to be local, and sometimes like a store might buy something and then just and frag it up for for sale there. Like that's fine. It's great for us. We thin it out, but it's not terribly common. So yeah, we would have to like just lower the price, like run a sale on something, move out that volume just to clear out space. So specifically mushrooms. Mushrooms are actually slow growing. Xenia, no, it's fine. we sell a lot of Xenia. That's the thing. So it's never like really that big a deal. The bigger problem with nuisance corals, quote unquote, isn't that they're so fast growing and crazy and like out of control. It's more like there's just not a lot of demand for them. That's like the biggest thing. You just let stuff sit because people don't want it, and then you're gonna have like a problem with it taking up more space than it's worth. So at that point, yeah, just like sell it just to get your space back. Franklin West, I saw that you used some of your footage from your visit with Jake Adams on your Serious Reef videos. It was nice to see. I miss Jake. Yeah, I weave in footage here and there because like um, once Jake passed, they tried their best to kind of like maintain the studio and stuff, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work for a group of people, and um, yeah, and I don't know how much money you could really pay people to do that kind of work, and yeah, so kind of, I would be very confident saying that my visit there was the best that studio has ever looked. Period. End of story. And so I use footage like that just to kind of, to show people that studio at its absolute peak with Jake's fingerprints all over it, because not too many people A ever got to see it because it's not, an open to the public thing, and B, like he uh in anticipation for my visit really scoured that place clean because I'm going to be coming over there with professional camera equipment. It's going to show everything. And so we got all this like great footage. And if you guys are concerned, I talked to his brother and his widow Windsor, because like I was perfectly okay, like never using that footage, never publishing a video about that studio, like ever. Period. Like again, like you've been kind of lax on YouTube. Exactly. I don't hunt down content in that way. But I talked with them about it, and they're like, no, Jake definitely would have liked to have seen a video about Reef Builders, that studio, on your channel with your insight on that. Like he would have liked nothing more than that. So that's kind of like what got me to do that video. And I weave in like B-roll here and there where it makes sense on like future videos and stuff. Okay. T5 color, although. Um, the thing I like most about T5 is that it is this very diffused lighting over the course of the entire length of the bulb. And oftentimes you're using like parabolic reflectors. So you're even increasing like the diffusion. I mean, like it's the reflection, but all the different angles that you're getting. So you get this like super even look. And you get great coral growth because you don't have the shading that a lot of the more spotlighty LEDs give you. And that's one thing that I am curious about with this new fixture from ATI. Like we haven't put any corals in there yet, but that lighting fixture does right out of the box have a very T5-esque look to it. And if it does give that kind of performance to have that light wrap around the coral nicely, that's a very positive feature. So time will tell. Liv Wilson. I had one baby from my Trocus and my Nano. It's cool when they spawn. Like sometimes there's like hobbyists that show their tank and it's like, oh, I have like 5,000 baby Trocus. I'm like, must be nice. Must be nice. Linlocks. Turned on my moonlights this week and my trochus spawned until my tank was milky. It was super fun to watch them. Yeah, and you know what's really weird? It's like our trochus, they spawn and they start to show up in the sump of all things. It is very difficult to just get into the sump and do that. We have a lot of like mechanical filtration, but they do, and they show up inside the protein skimmers. Franklin the footage was excellent. Thank you. Civic Cars item 200 said 56, normally 40. Typos happen. The correct price is whatever's actually on the website that you can put into a shopping cart and check out with. That's the ultimate arbiter of what it is. Let's see. Mine is serious. Love to spawn. Funny thing, I only have 2 trochus, now 3. Yeah, that is a little weird. Trochus are like really well, okay, they're really difficult to get because whenever I've ever ordered them, I don't order them anymore, but whenever I did order them, it'd be like 90% die off in the first day. It was insane. And now, like, if I wanted to buy them, I would buy them from a local fish store that's had them for at least a few days, because a few of the folks that I talk to, they run into the same sort of numbers game where it's like a bunch of them just die. So being able to breed them, locally would be fantastic. Also, I think that people greatly underestimate just how fragile certain inverts are. We can sometimes clean a coral, or I'm sorry, not a coral, like clean one of the snails just to get their shell clean, with the toothbrush that's been under the sink water, some fresh water, and just that amount of fresh water could really damage that poor snail. So like nowadays, we have to be like extra careful when it comes to snails. So again, if we were ever able to successfully breed them, that'd be amazing. Liv Wilson, I think nanos need better light options. Yeah, I mean, the nice thing is, and if you're willing to hang a light, you can really kind of get whatever light you want. We have this 20-ish gallon freshwater tank upstairs in the office here, and I just got like a grow light from Vipar Spectra, which is like super duper overkill, but I have it kind of like angled towards the tank, and it shines behind the tank, and behind the tank we just have a bunch of actual potted plants and stuff. It's kind of neat. You can do all kinds of cool stuff. So Diacanthus reef has some Strombus snails. That's cool. I'm gonna quickly Google search this. See what they look like. Oh, weird. Okay. I think one of my friends locally has had those grow like crazy, and then he didn't like them because they would grow and like jam his power heads and stuff. Why is it so hard to find hermits at an LFS that aren't red legs? Not sure. Maybe like red legs tend to be the most popular because they are the least likely to snack on corals. We actually get occasionally blue legs from the Caribbean. Now, I personally don't have them in our farming systems or anything like that. I don't really trust them, but you know, they're like detritivores and they're scavengers. So we have them, we sell them. It's fine, I guess, but they're kind of like off into their own little system. But you can get them from the Caribbean, from Caribbean sources. I'm not a huge fan of hermit crabs, but you know, I suppose they have their place. Okay, so again, guys, we are going to about 250-ish. So that gives us about 15 more minutes, give or take. So if there's any last minute questions about anything that you guys might have, now would be a good time to get it in. I skipped lunch, so I desperately need to eat something before I crash out. Which means I get to DoorDash something right now on stream, you guys. What should I get? By the way, um, DoorDashing in Akron, Ohio kind of sucks. Like, there's probably only like 5 good places to eat. And I'm being real generous with 5. It's like Sad Panda. What am I getting? Like, we have, no joke, 1, 2, 3, like 6 Mexican restaurants. And I'm not talking like Taco Bell. I'm talking about like sit down Mexican restaurants. There's no difference. Like ordering a burrito or tacos or whatever from any of these restaurants, it is indistinguishable from any of the other restaurants. It's like the illusion of choice. And that's like saying it's the same Northeast Ohio Mexican. Like when I visited my friend Kristen when she lived in Arizona, like Mexican food there was like crazy delicious, and it's just like why does Ohio Mexican have to be bad, right? We live in a world where spices can ship. Like why is it so mid here? Let's see. Is Ohio tourism cool or no? Um, is Ohio does Ohio tourism exist? I I legit can't think of a reason to visit Ohio. Okay. You can see Cedar Point, which is like the best roller coaster park in the world. That's a mountain I'm dying on. It's nothing compares to Cedar Point for world class roller coasters. Unbeatable, phenomenal. Um, you can skip the lake. Cleveland legit has a food scene. It is the most underappreciated food scene. It's underrated. It's underrated. There's like some absolute banger restaurants in Cleveland. I don't go there enough. I am a foodie. I'm door dashing crap right now, but I am a foodie. I've been to at this point several 3-star Michelin restaurants. Um, there's nothing in Cleveland like that, but there are definitely restaurants that can make waves in Cleveland, like legit delicious, and nobody knows. So you can make a culinary visit to Cleveland and have a good time. Don't know anything about Columbus. Don't know anything about Cincy. Uh, Oh, there's actually like a good if you're down with going out and exploring like the wilderness and stuff. There's a national or a state park called Hocking Hills. I used to live close to there and I never went. And now I'm kind of regretting it because A, Hocking Hills looks really, really, really cool in photos. And B, there are some of the most like viral sensation Airbnbs in Hocking Hills. One of them, they made an Airbnb in a cave, like a legit cave, and it looks super cool. Like the novelty of this ultra refined like living space, and it's a cave. Very cool. So there's stuff like that. The only other thing that I can think of is that there is this outdoor safari called the Wilds, and it's like a loose association with I don't know if it's a loose. I think it's an actual association with the Columbus Zoo. It's like this 10,000 acre reclaimed strip mine, and it's like Jurassic Park. Like you can go on these caravans, and like the gate behind you closes, the gate in front of you opens, and then you go out into like this into these different gigantic fields. And so there's like multiple varieties of breeding rhinos there. Like supposedly they're one of the only places like them in a place in South Africa that can breed rhinos. They like donate rhinos to other zoos, like that sort of thing. They got giraffes, they have like hyenas and stuff. They have like all kinds of like crazy animals. And it's the wildest experience because like these animals will come all the way up and start chewing on your seat. And like the guide is like, yeah, careful, they do bite. Just saying. This 2 ton rhino. But in this past time that I went there, you can do like the regular tour or you can do this off-roading tour. And the off-roading tour, so the regular tour follows like the road. And sometimes the animals will come up and explore and stuff. But sometimes they're out in the field. Uh, the off-roading adventure, you just go straight up right into the middle of a herd and just chill with like these herds and herds and herds of big animals. It's super cool. So that is probably the most underrated experience you can just ever have here. Like it is a legit safari, and they even have like predatory cats, like cheetah and stuff. And it's always fun to like watch, um, because you can like walk right along that fence, and all the kids are getting hunted by cheetahs. It's kind of fun. And then there's Tidal Gardens. It's all right, worth a visit. I live in Florida and door dashing sucks. It's like Russian roulette if it will suck. Yeah, yeah. I'm just still like looking at these sad options. It's bad when like Five Guys is literally a top 10 choice here. Don't know if you have Five Guys burger and fries at sure where you guys live, but that's like peak hamburger over here. Cincinnati Zoo is pretty legit. That's nice. Uh, I went to Akron Zoo for the first time in 40 years. I've never seen it before. But when Alex from Abiz came, he wanted to visit there because he does a lot of work with public aquariums. And the entire time, just being local, I just like I don't have high hopes for like a lot of places. But my visit to the Akron Zoo was really positive. I was like, this is way nicer than I thought. It was like really clean. I mean, it's a small zoo, but it's also like on this hillside. And so when you're like kind of like going up this hillside, looking at all the different exhibits, you can look out and then you see like downtown Akron. It's like very picturesque. It's very cool. Tony's asking best food for SPS. Currently giving refroids. Should I change anything? If you don't have any problems with feeding refroids, it's probably fine. I'm experimenting with feeding refroids some other powdered plankton food. I think it's Power, just because it happened to be on the shelf. And then we're feeding like powdered bacillus, and the bacillus is actually alive. Um, you resuscitate it just by having it in tank water for like 30 minutes or so, give or take, and then you can start to feed that like a cloud. And I think that is doing some good stuff for my acros, I think. Not in the mood for pizza. Also, you guys, pizza is the most overrated food. People are like, oh, there's no such thing as a bad pizza. I would say 80% of pizza is actually awful. Like, I'm not a fan of pizza. I found one place here that makes okay pizza. And then me talking about Cleveland again, there's a couple of places in Cleveland that make redonkulously good Neapolitan pizza. And I don't get to go up there very often. That's my fault. Kyoki, a lot of us have 30-gallon size tanks. Any recommendations for corals that'll work well in that size? So you're looking for corals that basically don't grow quickly. Um, so I would stick to more of the large polyp stonies, um, and stay away from chalices in general. I think that that rule you can go a long way with. SPS, most of them are going to grow pretty quickly if things go well. But like certain corals, like certain favias aren't going to grow very fast. Certain micromusa in general probably won't outgrow a 30. Um, yeah, things like that. Microgonis, well, no, those grow pretty quick, and they'll probably like start to extend the happier they are. The thing is, though, if things go well, most things can't outgrow a 30. So just keep that in mind. M. Thompson, oh no, Than, I love pizza too much. Ugh. Most of it is, it's really not good. Not even saying it's not even good for you. It's like actual not good. But again, Northeast Ohio, it's not exactly pizza heaven. We even have a place here that has like award-winning pizza, and it's fancy, but it's not. I mean, I'm not ordering it. I'm just saying. Indian food's okay. Barbecue's okay. It ain't Texas. And I guess that's also part of the problem. It's like sometimes when you've had like really good experiences eating, it's like, well, okay. Like, I like sushi. I don't like sushi in the US because Tokyo has radicalized me when it comes to sushi. It'll ruin you. It'll ruin sushi forever. I bet that's what like Italy is like for pizza and stuff, where like it's so good there and you come back and you're like, sure, this is pizza. Chipotle, yeah. Chipotle, okay. So old school day one Chipotle was incredible. Hyper corporate efficient Chipotle today kind of sucks. Um, if you guys remember, Chipotle used to have a hot sauce that was legit painfully fire. Okay? If you remember Chipotle from that era, it is a different animal to what Chipotle is today, and that's a shame. USA sushi is a bit iffy. It's not just iffy. It's like there's a difference when there is like this cultural commitment to getting sushi perfect for 2,000 years versus shopping mall sushi kiosk. And you would think that for rice and sliced raw fish, there's not a whole lot of ways to make that better. It turns out all the ways that you can make it better happens in Japan, and it does not happen in the US because we don't have good sushi in comparison. Like it is a transcendent, radicalizing experience in Tokyo. Thoughts on Fiji corals? I think they're boring with the exception of the yellow Fiji toadstool leather. I find them bland and uninteresting. Like when so Fiji apparently had been closed for years and years and years, and when they opened back up, there's like all this excitement. It's like, oh, Fiji's back open. Boring. I didn't buy a single Fiji coral since it's been back open. Do you like Alaska smoked salmon? It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I just processed my fish for the year. Be happy to send you some. Very grateful. Um, I don't even know if I'm gonna turn that down. Sure, go ahead. I do like smoked salmon. It's very nice. Uh, the deli here is pretty good. Let's go to the deli. Hmm. Anyways, it's something that I'll have to figure out. Thanks so much to you guys for hanging out. For the folks that have placed orders, uh, probably sometime tomorrow, Ben will start sending out some scheduling emails. The sale will go on for like a couple more days at least. So if there was any kind of like shopping you want to do after the fact, all good. Um, yeah, when is the next one of these shindigs? September 20th. So again, really early news, but September 12th, Friday, September 12th, that's when we're planning the open house slash whatever the heck festive meetup. Hopefully we'll put out a sign. Hopefully I'll put out a sign up sheet at some point. Get Becca working on some graphics. Yeah, should be a good time. Looks like September's gonna be pretty busy. So, anyways, you guys, good hanging out. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and until next time, happy reefing and all that. End stream.